We had some shakeups last weekend, but our ACC football power rankings are indisputable.
You are Locked On ACC, your daily podcast on the Atlantic Coast Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Shout out to the everydayers, and thank you so much for making Locked On ACC your first listen. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. He is Kenton Gibbs, former NC State defensive lineman and co-host of Locked On Wolfpack. I am Alex Donno, host of Locked On Canes. And on this loaded episode, we're going to talk about who has been the ACC's coach of the year so far and who's on the hottest seat right now. You got a couple candidates for that. We'll talk top games of the weekend because there is about 3 of them that I think stand out above the rest in terms of ACC championship game implications. But let's start, Kenton, with our power rankings coming out of week 7 heading into week 8. Are we in agreement that Miami remains number 1 in the ACC football power rankings heading into their Friday night matchup with Louisville?
No, I think it's Georgia Tech. No, I'm joking. I'm joking, Miami fans. Calm down. I think that Miami is number 1, and they were expected to be great coming into the season. They've been as good as advertised.
Yeah, so Miami at number 1, and as mentioned, they're going to play Friday night against Louisville. We'll tell you where Louisville ranks. Hurricanes are 13.5-point favorites in that game. All right, so at number 2, Kenton, Georgia Tech, followed by UVA. They just keep winning, but I give Georgia Tech the benefit over UVA because GT is undefeated overall. Virginia does have a loss, technically a non-conference loss, even though it was against NC State. We've gone over that 100 times. We'll leave it at that. But yeah, I give Georgia Tech the edge because they're undefeated overall. So Georgia Tech at 2, Virginia 3, and I've got the Duke Blue Devils at number 4, and we got a big matchup between number 2 and number 4 coming up this weekend. How do you feel about the top 4?
I think that that's an absolutely good 4. I was wondering what my affinity with Georgia Tech was until I looked at their helmets and I looked at my high school helmets close to each other. My high school, Cass Tech, is a CT that's interlocked, and Georgia Tech has a GT that's interlocked. I said, it makes sense. We do the knowledge here. I'm learning why I've passively wanted Georgia Tech to do this and be this team for so long, and now it all makes sense. But no, seriously, they're putting out a great product. UVA, like you said, they keep winning. It's been some close calls. It's been a little dicey at times, but they keep winning. And the Duke Blue Devils, they seem to have figured it out.
Yeah.
They seem to have Darian Mensah, Queso Brown, the defense, obviously, with VJ and company in that front 4, and the back end is starting to come together now, and they're starting to put together some dominant defensive performances. Even if you would argue, it's not against the best offensive talent. You can only play who's in front of you, and they look damn good against the guys that are in front of them. So this top 4, I don't have a problem with.
Yeah, I was even a little bit tempted to try to rank Duke a little higher, but they've got 2 losses overall because they were not good non-conference. But since the ACC play has started for them, they've been dynamite. All right, so rounding out the top 5, I've got Pittsburgh, a surging Pitt Panthers coming off a big win at Florida State. We got Pitt at number 5, Louisville at number 6, big matchup with Miami. Louisville did suffer a loss to UVA, though, a couple weeks ago. And SMU at number 7. They're surging a little bit. They've gotten a little bit better, Kenton, as the year has gone on. So, and obviously there's going to be some movement again this coming weekend with some important matches within that top 7.
Absolutely, there's going to be movement. And also, SMU is a team that has had a very similar problem to Miami, just in a different way, right? You talk about finishing games. Can you finish? Can you finish? They just have done so in a way that it's shown up to be extremely problematic for them. They've done so in a way that collapse against Baylor, it needs to be studied. It needs to be studied. TCU, same kind of deal. You were right there. You had control of the game, and then all of a sudden, 1 or 2 plays go against you, and you kind of fold and pack it in going down the stretch there. So I see where you're coming from with, that SMU team. They started off very rough in terms of the out of conference play, but SMU is undefeated in conference play so far. They have not played great teams. I'm not going to lie to you and say they played the world beaters and the gangbusters, but they are undefeated so far. So you're absolutely right. That is a surging team.
Yeah, all right. So let's get to the meaty part of the curve here after the top 7. Now, obviously, Florida State, Kenton, they've lost 3 straight games, all in conference. So I'll ask you if I think I dropped them far enough. I had them at number 5 last week. I've got Florida State now at number 8, but I keep them as high as they are because even though the conference record smells funky right now, I still think that they are better than the teams that come after them. So I still have Florida State at number 8, followed by Syracuse at number 9. Maybe I should drop them a little bit farther because, I guess maybe I weight their previous resume too much because since Steve Angeli went down, that team has been awful the last couple of weeks. But I've got Clemson ranked number 10. I feel like I had to rank Clemson after Syracuse because of the head-to-head. Syracuse beat them straight up. And Clemson has not won a home. They got a 4-game losing streak at home against Power 4 opposition, with Syracuse being part of that. So Florida State 8, Syracuse 9, Clemson 10. Did I screw that up?
Here's the only thing that I would push back on there.
Yeah.
What has Florida State shown us to say that they belong here? People can argue, the Alabama win was great. The Alabama win was great all day and all night. These lists are dynamic and not static for a reason.
Yeah.
But Florida State did their big one. They did their big one early in the season. Oh, yeah, they went out there and beat a wonderful Alabama team. Absolutely. They still have not won a conference game in over a year. That is just a factual statement. That has not happened. I'm sorry to do this to you, Calgorithm, but Cal last year, and we all know, Cal and the politics over there, from each, according to ability, to each by need. They were equally and communally distributing the means of wins throughout the ACC. That's what they were doing right there, okay? Real hammer and sickle talk over there. I'm joking, Cal. Don't come after me for that. I'm joking. But in all
I feel like the Calgorithm is chuckling. Other fan bases would be angry with that sort of a statement, absolutely. But the Calgorithm, they enjoy.
I didn't even need to put the nail on the head and say the hammer and sickle thing. They knew where I was going when I said
they already knew where you're going. Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is they have not won a conference game since then. And I have long said, and I said this even after they beat Alabama, are we sure that their chain is real? And it's looking to me like it's a whole lot of plastic and cubic zirconium going on over there. A whole lot of just melted down aluminum foil going on over there, because that is a fake chain if I've ever seen one. And it's getting worse by the day. I can see your logic for having them here. I would personally, I'd drop them down to about 11, 12, but I'm not mad at you for having them here.
It's just most of their losses have been close, really close games. You could argue the Miami game wasn't, but they made it look close.
Right.
They got within 6 at the end.
Right. The Virginia game actually was a close loss, and the Pitt game again. Those were close. Actual close losses. The Miami loss, stop it. That was window dressing.
Right. All right. So outside of the top 10, I have your NC State Wolfpack at number 11, Wake Forest Demon Deacons at number 12. The Calgorithm at number 13, followed by their pals, their great friends in Palo Alto at Stanford at number 14. How you feeling about those?
I want Cal to jump up. I really do. I really want Cal to jump up, not just because of their outstanding fan base, not just because they're super fan Lawrence, right? He's one of the best guests that we've had on, and we got to have him on again soon. Cal football, please do something that makes it a good time to have our boy on. But I look at this and I say, that's a fan base that wants it. That's a coach that's making the changes necessary to make wins happen. They're starting a young guy. They're saying, hey, we're going to do this and we're going to take our lumps with them. The only problem is the fact of taking the lumps with them means you got to take the lumps with them.
They've been taking lumps in recent weeks.
Exactly.
So they got hammered by Duke.
And this is why I said on tape, JKS is talented. He's really good. But on tape, there were about 2 to 3 concepts that he kept hitting where I'm like, all right, when you go up against defensive coordinators who are making high 6 figures to do this thing, when you go up against some other ball players that are making NIL money, they'll know, oh, you like the star route. Okay, you like that little spot. You like the little over the ball route. Don't worry, we'll take the ball. We'll go back there. Oh, you like the drive concept. We gonna drive on it, actually. We're gonna have a good time driving it. So, I want them to be better, but the reality is where you have them is correct.
All right, so here's the bottom three. I got Virginia Tech at 15. Now, obviously, they were, bad enough to get their coach fired. And outside of a win against NC State, they've been pretty awful all year, no matter who the head coach is. But I still think there are two teams worse than Virginia Tech, and that's Boston College at 16 and the North Carolina Tar Heels dead last in the basement at number 17. You agree?
Before we came on air, this is an actual fact, Locked On ACC listeners. Donno said, do you think UNC is worse than Boston College, or who do you think is worse? I said, brother, It don't matter what order you got me in. As long as the two Bills are at the bottom. As long as these two Bills are at the bottom, because both of their teams stink to the high heavens. And to see that Penn State is there, I believe the odds are the third best to bring Bill O'Brien back. I said, y'all scared of winning. Oh, y'all scared of the wins. Oh, I didn't know. I was confused because that guy was there before and he didn't do anything. So why you would bring him back? But these two teams, they're god awful. I mean, this is some of the worst football I have ever seen in a Power 4 team, and I'm not joking. I've been a football junkie for quite some time. I mean, my mother will tell you back to when I was like, my earliest memories, 2-3 years old, the stolen cable. I believe the statute of limitations is up, so leave my mom alone.
I was about to say, be careful with the.
She's got real cable now. She's got real cable now. She got Comcast now. She's got the real cable. Back in the day, watching, waking up in the morning and watching College Game Day and whatnot, and even ESPN Classic and whatnot. I've seen a lot of college football in my day. Yeah. I very seriously, I struggle to find a team like Boston College. They're unserious, but there are a few redeeming qualities. UNC, I struggle to find a team that, like, overall, when I look for a bright spot, like I've legitimately watched their games and said, all right, Ken, try to find something that you can walk away from this saying it's good. And even when everybody's like, oh, Max Johnson, he makes the offense move a lot better. I took a deep dive into that. And I'm like, all right, well, how good does he look against starting defenses? Not very. Not until they start going to those big soft
the only good moment that North Carolina had all year was their opening drive against TCU.
Yeah.
I mean, that had Skip Bayless tweeting about North Carolina, which, and Skip is the biggest knee-jerk reaction guy. He knows what he's doing. But after one drive, Skip was calling North Carolina a national championship contender. That was their last good moment, was the opening drive of the season.
And that's why he's on a podcast with Aqib Talib now, talking about these types of things. Nah, I'm joking. Aqib Talib is really good at the media thing.
Don't disrespect Aqib Talib.
That's what I'm saying. Aqib Talib is great at the media thing. He really is really good at it. I love seeing it. And plus, him and his brother don't play. Hey, I'm good. I don't want no smoke. I don't want no trouble. No. But in all seriousness, that was a great knee-jerk reaction because, as we've seen since that drive, how's things been working out? Other than Charlotte and Richmond, things haven't been too good, has it? In the words of Denzel Washington in Meet the Titans or Remember the Titans, it's not fun anymore, is it? No, it's not. Wipe that smile off your face. That's what's going on right now.
Well, we're going to get Kenton smiling again because coming up next, we're going to talk about the three biggest games in the ACC this weekend where, the ACC championship picture is going to become a little bit more clear in Week 8 coming up. We'll also talk Coach of the Year candidates and the hottest seats 7+ weeks into the college football season. You want to keep it locked right here. We're only getting started on this brand new episode of Locked On ACC. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anyone else. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details, and Mazda brings the same intention to how we craft every model. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Nappa leather upholstery. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda. Move and be moved. Speaking of moving, we're also brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. It's their most advanced equipment yet, designed to give you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or cross-training with your favorite instructors. This is training reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with tools that help you plan, stay motivated, and reach peak performance. I love how the Peloton IQ system offers real-time strength coaching. It actually tracks your reps, suggests the right weights, I should say, and corrects your form, making every rep safer and smarter. And the personalized class recommendations keep you engaged. You get workouts tailored to your vibe and energy level each week. So let yourself run, lift, flex, and push forward. Explore the new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus today at onepeloton.com. Thank you so much for making Locked On ACC your first listen. For your next listen, check out our other shows. Kenton Gibbs and Grayson Boone host Locked On Wolfpack, talking all things NC State. I host Locked On Canes, talking all things Miami. All right, so Kenton, is Miami versus Louisville. I guess it depends on how competitive you expect the game to be. Is that the game of the weekend in the conference, or is it potentially for you number 12 Georgia Tech at Duke? Or could it be Clemson hosting SMU? Like, which of those stands out most to you?
This is obvious. Georgia Tech, Duke. You have got two teams. Georgia Tech is one of two undefeated teams in the ACC. And the main thing that people keep trying to say about Georgia Tech, the biggest knock that everybody says is, well, you haven't beaten anybody. That Colorado win wasn't that good. And Coach Prime is nothing without Shedeur. Look at them over there with a ranked win in the Big 12, huh?
Yeah,
that's right. And then you look at the rest of their schedule. Well, Clemson ain't Clemson. They ain't been Clemson all year. Oh, other than them, who have you beaten? Okay, fine. Now they get a shot. Now they get a shot against somebody real. And the same thing can be said about Duke to a certain extent. The same thing is said in terms of, yeah, you're undefeated in conference, but you were terrible out of conference. And are you actually, has your offense figured it out and gotten better, or have you just played horrid defenses that cannot make Darian Mensah think and pressure him and do what it takes to turn the ball over? So this is a game that will answer questions for both of these teams, and we're going to see somebody go from whatever they've played and 0 in conference to and 1. Yeah. And that's going to be very important for, like you said, add some clarity to the ACC picture, because right now the picture is very opaque, very blurry, if you will. If you don't know what the word opaque means, Google it. We will not drop our vocabulary level down here. We will raise yours. But
that's what Googling it right after the show.
But that's what it's looking like. This is a game that will objectively give us a lot of answers about both of these teams and give us answers about, the ACC picture as well. When you look at these other games, how much can you actually answer, Donno? How much can you actually answer in both of these? We've seen Miami play teams that are some of the best in the nation. We've seen that. We've seen Louisville when they're at their best. We know they can pull off an upset when they're rolling at their best with the Brown brothers running things over there. What can we really get from SMU Clemson? Even though SMU is undefeated in conference, we know Clemson is not who we thought they were. So even if SMU wins, it's like, yeah, Clemson's bad like we thought. And if Clemson wins, it's like, yeah, SMU beat Syracuse and who was it? Boston College, or they beat Syracuse and somebody else that was a bottom feeder.
They beat, was it Stanford?
Either way, yeah, I believe it was Stanford. It was the two S schools. Yeah, Syracuse and Stanford. Either way, it's like these are schools that are not, we don't look at SMU and say we're going to get our answer from this game. So I don't think either one of those games will present us with significant answers regardless of outcome.
All right, I'm thinking a little outside the box with this question I have for you, and I know that fans of these ACC schools are not going to like my line of thinking here, but would it be better for the conference if teams, like Miami's obvious, had a really tough non-conference schedule and they won all their non-con games? Georgia Tech, they still have one non-con against Georgia. You hope they're competitive. If they win that game, fantastic. But you look at schools like SMU and Duke, who had really bad out-of-conference performances, right? I mean, as they were close games, but as SMU lost to two Big 12 teams,
right?
Duke lost to Tulane. Their former quarterback, who they stole from Tulane, lost to Tulane, And, the game was not as non-competitive as it looked, but their loss to Illinois, the score looked really bad. Duke committed 5 turnovers. So,
Yeah.
is it better for the conference if, teams that didn't play badly, non-conference, get to the ACC championship game? Because, if you were to hypothetically have, Duke versus SMU in Charlotte in December, it's like, man, how bad is the ACC, is what people would say.
Well, Donno, I hate to say this, but it goes beyond that. As
Yeah.
much as we like to pretend that humans are logical and rational and will use their brains and watch these games, you and I have both seen how these AP voters do things. They're not watching the games. They're watching the brands. They're watching the brands. And with all due respect, if we talk about in terms of football brand, SMU, you might could make something shake with them getting there, whatever. Duke going in terms of football brands. Yeah. Oh, now everybody's up in arms asking questions. What the hell is going on in that Atlantic coast, or what's happening? So it's not even about so much of what happened before as just who these teams are as a brand. Now, when you add in that second layer of the non-conference schedule, it's absolutely. If I were Jim Phillips, I would say I would be praying, hoping, wishing, and grabbing all my horseshoes, saying, Brent Key, if you can hear the sound of my voice, please win that football game. Brent Key, if you can hear, if the sound of this transmission is reaching you, Brent, do everything you can to win that game, because it's essential that team gets to the ACC championship. Because even if you say, well, Georgia Tech isn't a football powerhouse either, but you know what you would have potentially? An undefeated or one-loss Georgia Tech against an undefeated Miami. Mm-hmm. When your combined record of your conference championship game is 20 or 23-1, that's in the Power 4 league, that's a good – people expect a great game.
That's the matchup you want. And, obviously, for Jim Phillips, the matchup that he would have wanted before the season started would have been any combination of Clemson, Florida State, or Miami. Any two of those 3 teams playing each other. But, Florida State, it's not happening. They're 0-3 in conference. There's no way they're getting there. Clemson, 80% not getting there with 2 conference losses already. So it's I think Miami versus Georgia Tech, if you're just talking about ratings and numbers, that's the best I think you could do at this point, right? I mean, Virginia's a great Cinderella story, but they're not moving the needle in the ACC championship game. We'll talk about, and Virginia has a coach who's red hot right now. Is Tony Elliott, is he the coach of the year right now in the ACC, or is that disrespectful to someone like Mario Cristobal with what Miami's doing right now to even say that? You want to keep it locked right here. We're not done yet on this brand new episode of Locked On ACC. Guys, the holidays are going to be here before you know it, which is exciting, but getting your home ready for guests and celebrations can feel like a lot. Maybe your serveware needs a refresh, or the guest room could use new bedding. Wayfair has everything you need to get your home holiday ready. From Christmas trees and wreaths to bedding, cookware, outdoor inflatables, it's your one-stop shop for every room in the house. Wayfair makes it so easy to personalize your home for the holidays with a huge selection for every style and budget. And with free and easy delivery, even on the big stuff, you can get everything you need without the hassle of huge delivery fees. In fact, the delivery is fast and free, which is a lifesaver during a busy time of the year like the holidays. So instead of stressing out about getting the house ready, you can actually enjoy the holidays with friends and family. Get organized, refreshed, and ready for the holidays for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. We're also proudly brought to you by Supply House. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Their Trademaster perks like priority shipping and a dedicated support line makes the whole process smoother. Join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and that dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. Thank you so much for making Locked On ACC your first listen. All right, so Kenton Gibbs, if we look at what's happening in ACC football right now, let's talk about the positive before we get into the hot seats, okay? I feel, and listen, I may be a little biased on this one because of, where I am and which team I cover, but I feel like, Mario, to this point, Mario Cristobal should be considered the front runner for ACC Coach of the Year. Miami's got 3 ranked wins. They're undefeated. They're number 2 in the country. I realize that they still have a little over half their season left to play, but at this point, I feel it's Mario Cristobal. But Tony Elliott in Virginia, he's the best story, I think. Mm-hmm. And if Virginia keeps winning, and if they get to the ACC championship game, I mean, just based on their expectations preseason, which were, hey, this team's probably not going to make a bowl and their coach is going to get fired. Like, if UVA has a really good season, you feel like they would give it to Elliott over Cristobal, even if Miami, got undefeated or close to it? Or how do you think that would go?
Well, Miami isn't the team to watch for Coach of the Year. With all due respect to Cristobal, we all know that this award becomes a reward for, we thought you were going to be terrible and you're good. We all know that's what this is. We treat, and I don't like that for college coaches in particular, because in the NFL, I get it. You sign players, those players are stuck with you for 5, 8, however many years are on that contract. They're stuck with you. I get it. In college, it's different. You have to, year to year, go out, restock the shelves, right? You lose a number 1 overall pick at quarterback. You got to bring in a new guy, make it happen, make it work. And Mario Cristobal has done that. But we all know for whatever reason, recruiting is not considered part of Coach of the Year for these things. It's whose team did you think was going to suck and what they turn out to be. Tony Elliott's biggest challenger for this award is not Cristobal. It's a man who's a fellow offensive lineman, fellow alum of his university, my boy, Brent Key. The wreck is rambling. They got defenses scrambling. I'm going to tell you something right now. That's one of the best stories in all of college football that people don't want to acknowledge. A guy who took over their job as an interim coach. By the way, looking at you, Virginia Tech, you probably should have gone with a guy who was an alum and on the staff to be your interim coach. Why you didn't, I don't know. Hashtag get JC Price a job. But anyway, the reality is this. It is one of the best stories in football because when you look at where he took that program from, if you look back at that Jeff Collins era, oh my God.
That was awful. Yeah.
Oh, what they say in the Grinch? Stink, stank, stunk. That's what that team was before he took over. He took that team to more wins in half a season than they had in an entire season for the last 3 years leading up to him becoming the interim coach. They removed the interim tag, and year by year, he just builds. He just builds. Yep. Doesn't have all the resources, doesn't have all the NFL alums. Don't get me wrong. Trust me, Lions fan, I know how good Megatron was. Don't have as many NFL alums as a Miami and all that. Don't have the same type of brand cachet and support. And yet, what does he do? He just builds and builds and builds. And this was a team that now people can pretend, oh, yeah, I always believed in Georgia Tech. I always believed in Georgia Tech. That Georgia Tech line was small. And I remember because I was in it. And I was saying this team could do something. This team could. I'm not going to lie and say I definitively had this team showing up and being undefeated. So if it's the combination of what team you thought was going to be bad or be all right and they're good, I'd have to say it's probably going to be it's really Key's award to lose. That's what it is more than anything. Because if he goes to the ACC championship with 1 loss, Miami goes undefeated, he's winning that award. If Virginia and Elliott go with, they miss out on the ACC championship by 1 game with 2 losses in conference, he'd get a lot of votes. He'd get a ton of votes. He'd save his job. That seat would be immensely cooler than it was coming into the season. Because coming into the season, if you would have told me, hey, one of the Virginia coaches is going to be fired by week 5, which one do you think is going to be? I'd say, oh man, Tony Elliott. Sorry to hear.
I mean, they were both on the hot.
Yeah, they were both hot. They were both hot. But I would have guessed it would have been Elliott. You know what I mean? To see what he's done this season. So again, if it was me and I had to take my best educated guess at it, I'd say Key is the guy right now.
You made a lot of coherent points, but if Miami goes undefeated, Georgia Tech doesn't and Mario Cristobal doesn't win ACC Coach of the Year, I can already tell you I'm going to have an episode thumbnail on Locked On Canes that says Mario robbed. Like, well, what does he have to do to win that? If they go undefeated, AI, he doesn't win Coach of the Year. Like, what does he have to do?
You're going to get AI to edit Brent Key holding up a pistol to him, like, put the trophy in the bag. Put it in the bag.
Right. I mean, listen, if Brent Key also goes undefeated, which is still in the cards for them, and that includes beating Georgia, then, I wouldn't argue as much. But if Georgia Tech is not undefeated, if Miami is, and Key wins it over Cristobal, I'm going to do an episode about that. And I'm going to bring that here, too.
I mean, I've said this plenty of times. I said it publicly, and I'll say it right here, right now, instead of just on Twitter and whatnot. Coach of the Year should not be for we thought your team was going to be bad and you were good.
Yeah.
Coach of the Year should be for who did the best job of preparing their team from the end of last year or whatever, or however long you want to take the coaching window to say, like, the recruiting classes that built up to this team and then what you did with this team on the field. That, to me, is who should win the Coach of the Year. And some people say, well, Ken, that's boring because then all those years that Oklahoma was in the Big 12 before Brent Venables got there, by the way, shout out to Big 12 admin, they'd be like, oh, so it was Oklahoma's coach every year? Yes. If Lincoln Riley was putting together a squad that was whooping the wheels off the conference every year, he's the coach of the year. If Dabo did that every year when he was doing it, he's the coach of the year. I don't give a damn about, we thought you were going to be a 3-win team and you won 9. If this guy has put together a team that we expect to win 12 and they win 12, that's the guy. He's put together a product that we expect perfection and he's met it. So, that's my personal opinion. I wouldn't be mad at Cristobal winning it. Also wouldn't be mad at a one-loss Key winning it because he has done objectively a phenomenal job at Georgia Tech.
All right, so let's look at the flip side, the hottest seats right now. I think the 2 hottest seats in the ACC, Mike Norvell at Florida State. I think the seat is getting hot because the boosters expect something and what they're showing on the field is not what's expected there. There's not a whole lot of patience there at Florida State. But then, of course, the elephant in the room is Bill Belichick in North Carolina. And I would say the Belichick seat has to be hotter than the Mike Norvell seat because Mike Norvell has a $58.7 million buyout. And Bill Belichick's buyout is like somewhere between 1 and 10 million. And you could see a world where Belichick is just like, you know what, I don't even want to do this anymore. Whereas Mike Norvell is, his prime years of his life when it comes to being a college coach. So the Belichick seat is even hotter, right? But saying that, if Mike Norvell, and I don't expect this to happen, even if Brian Smith thinks it might, if Florida State loses at Stanford this weekend, I don't think they let Norvell back on the plane. But then you also have Bill Belichick facing Cal, but if Cal beats North Carolina, it doesn't really change how bad North Carolina is, right? So
no,
but I still think the Belichick seat overall is hotter.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you here, and I'm going to tell you something. In a world where finances doesn't matter, right? If you're talking about college football, 26, Norvell's seat is exponentially hotter, right? Based on expectation, based on the amount of time he's been there, all those things. However, finances makes situations get real funky and real wonky. There's an old song called "It's Cheaper to Keep Her." That song exists for a reason, right? It's about the woman that ain't the best to you, but you already got her. So if you leave her, it's going to cost you a pretty penny to do so. That Norvell is going to cost you. It's an expensive
divorce. Yeah.
It's a pretty penny, the finest penny, a Halle Berry style penny if you want to get rid of him. So, it is one of those things where I would say the price tag makes the seat a little hotter for Belichick. And besides, like I've already said, when you all have to put out statements from the head coach and the university saying everything is fine here, there is no Warren Bossing say, there's a problem. There is a problem. When you hear that, they kick in a little bit of propaganda, guys. There's a problem. There's somebody's not happy. Somebody does not like what's going on, if not both parties. So I'd say that is the most likely situation to deteriorate. But Norvell, you better find a way to stop that run against Stanford, buddy. You better find a way because they're coming downhill, no frills. That's what they do. That's what Stanford does well. And if you let another quarterback be player of the week on you this week,
Yeah.
Oh, you might have to Uber all the way back to Tallahassee, or we might have to see you on a commercial flight from San Fran, from SFO to Tallahassee. We might see, hey, what's Norvell doing on this plane? Guys, I wasn't allowed on the team plane. Just stop being weird. Don't be weird about it.
Why is he flying Southwest all of a sudden?
I'm just saying he might be off. He might be, and don't give him Southwest. Give him a nice airline. Give him Delta. He got a little money. He got a little money. Give him American.
He will have a lot of money if they buy him out. He's going to be $58.7 million richer. That's true. Well, we appreciate everybody for making Locked On ACC your first listen. Make sure to smash that like button, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, on YouTube, wherever you get your pods. Make sure to check out Kenton at Locked On Wolfpack and follow him on X at TGIF_Kenton. Check me out at Locked On Canes and follow me at Alex Donno. And we'll talk to you next time on another episode of Locked On ACC. We are part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.